Ninjas no longer had the same engagement as they did before. They used to represent an organization of skilled assassins, being one within the shadow. They had a distinct design that made them look cool with their weapons and equipment matching it. Instead, they feel more like jokes, a caricature where they're supposed to be a skilled assassin, with majority of the series not attempting to capture it. One of the main factors that make ninja special is that they're supposed to be the master of stealth, the head and dagger, leaving no trace but a corpse behind. I'm gonna be honest with you, not sure where I heard that from because I always see anything but stealth. Whenever I see a ninja on screen, somehow they'll always engage in a fight, dueling with their opponents. Sure, maybe they botch an assassination or ill luck, forcing them to engage in a duel. However, this happens every single time. I don't recall I've seen a ninja actually stealthily kill their target without involving a big fight to happen. Other times we see a group of ninjas running the ones with their opponents to the point it just becomes a large army of them. Is it really necessary to send a whole militia of ninjas for one target? Well, I guess they need an army or switch up their style despite their numbers they constantly lose despite having brutal training they might have gone through and skill to master their craft. It's not enough to beat any main character. This just defeats the purpose of what ninjas meant to be, assassins and infiltrators, which isn't being depicted at all. The most interesting part that makes Assassins compelling is ninjas coming up with niche and creative utility for each scenario, using their wit to get out of sticky scenarios, but the only niche things they always use are smoke bombs and shurikens. There's no thought put in, just use the old smoke bomb teleporter to escape. Shurikens are just meant to annoy targets, but realistically they are useful as a car with no engine, just meant to have something thrown or make the character look cool by dodging it. Their main source of weapon is the katana. You think something like a knife would be preferable? Despite being more practical, instead they use the holy katana as their main weapon for fighting against their opponents.
And then everyone has got katana, katana, katana everywhere.
Seeing them constantly fight with their katanas got me thinking, what's even the difference between them and samurais? Because the only difference I see is one wears armor that doesn't protect them, the other doesn't have armor at all. Ninjas are portrayed more like warriors, constantly relying on their strength and numbers to win fights, which makes their whole concept dumb since what's the point of their outfits? They're not using it to blend in the darkness, no, instead they make them look cool and stand out. A lot of the most well-known series that uses the word ninjas are not helping the situation because many of them are not really using their traits. The biggest one is Naruto, where it stopped being a ninja show after they added the word Shippuden, because I don't think summoning a giant aspect warrior constitutes stealth, or maybe I missed something from a manual. This series uses the idea of what ninjas are supposed to do, but eventually just gives up and focuses on what power they could create from a ninjutsu or just summoning a kaiju. I mean, at this point, their stealth is as subtle as a missile infiltrating the base. They try to talk about infiltration, stealth, cooperation, and dangers that comes with being one, but no, teen with emotional problems was more interesting. At least Mortal Kombat has an excuse for ninjas fighting since that's what the game centers around. Honestly, the only thing I could think of at the top of my head that actually tries to incorporate traits of ninjas is TMNT. A Saturday morning cartoon meant to sell toys does a better job with the concept, where they use their stealth to hide from the public's eye, traversing through the city at night. Sure, they do fight, I mean, it's a kid's cartoon, we want some violence, but not too violent. Ninjas lost their novelty since all of it's just superficial, there's no attempt to have them be deep, instead they used to mock people who tend to look cool by posting something that's only practical in the fictional world, or people who don't quite understand the culture it comes from. Then again, can you blame them? Since what I talk about specific traits of ninja, none of it was real. Historically speaking, they never existed. It's a bit weird information surrounding them, since most that was written were romanticized after their century of feudal war. During their peaceful era called the Edo period, they continued to be heavily romanticized centuries later towards modern time, with concrete information about them being difficult to tell apart from pop culture, with Japan not helping the situation where they continued to run the fantasy about the ninja. What we do know about them is what I talked about. What's even the difference between a ninja and a samurai? Well, there isn't. It was a job title given to them and foot soldiers that took part in espionage, was just another branch of the military, like the US Army Cavalry Scout or a field artillery. They focus on being spies, gathering information, and sabotaging armies. Any information about them being assassins isn't documented. Maybe they wanted to keep it a secret? Regardless if that's the case, there's no proof. This is the reason why ninja seems to be losing interest, since the real history behind it is incredibly skewed. So pop culture can make whatever they want that could be interpreted as real ninjas. Because at least knights, Vikings, and samurais, even though Vikings is the most screwed by pop culture, at least they have some history as their foundation, which could be used for inspiration for making them feel more real in other series. Ninjas doesn't have that luxury. I don't mind if pop culture does still lean on the stealth, infiltration, assassination part of the modern ninja. At least it's slightly closer, but it gets lost, being disregarded, and more focus on the flashy part of the ninja, making him look cool, coming up things that never existed, causing them to be shallower than a puddle. Thanks for watching, and bye.